Welcome back to CIA Declassified. Picture a checkpoint in Berlin or a dusty crossing on the border of Iran. The guards are tired, the lights are harsh, and every bolt on every truck is a potential death sentence. In this world of high-tension scrutiny, a standard Mercedes or a weathered Volkswagen van is just part of the background noise. But some of these vehicles carry a secret that defies the laws of average transit. You are looking at the work of AEGEAR. The Cold War was a game of physical access. By the midpoint of the 1960s, the CIA realized that traditional exfiltration was becoming impossible as borders tightened. They didn't need faster cars. They needed invisible ones. AEGEAR was the answer, a project designed to turn the common vehicle into a tactical shell for the world's most dangerous cargo. The setting was a world divided by concrete and paranoia, where a single document or a high-ranking defector could change the course of history, provided they could survive the journey out. In the late hours at Checkpoint Charlie, the steam from a guard's coffee would mingle with the exhaust of 1,000 identical rusting sedans. To the Stasi or the KGB, these cars were merely the connective tissue of a crumbling society. But within the Office of Technical Service, these vehicles were blank canvases. The era was defined by the art of the inconspicuous. If a car was too fast, it was suspicious. If it was too clean, it was a target. The goal of AEGEAR was to perfect the mediocre appearance while housing the extraordinary interior, ensuring that the most sensitive assets of the United States moved through the Iron Curtain as nothing more than a glitch in the traffic patterns. How do you hide a human being in a space the size of a suitcase? The agency turned to the wizards of the Technical Services Division. Under a veil of total secrecy, they stripped cars to their frames and rebuilt them using optical illusion and advanced materials. This wasn't just about hidden compartments. It was about deceiving the scale. They used compressed suspension to ensure a car sat level even with 3 extra people hidden in the chassis. They used heat shielding to prevent infrared sensors from picking up a human heartbeat near the engine block. AEGEAR was the chameleon of the agency, a program that turned the everyday commute into a silent extraction. Why the designation AEGEAR? In the cryptonomic logic of Langley, the AE prefix was the agency's geographical diagraph for the Soviet Union and its satellite states, indicating that these technical developments were primarily intended for use in the denied areas of the Eastern Bloc. The gear suffix was a literal yet sterile indicator of the project's focus on mechanical and automotive hardware. Unlike other more abstract names, AEGEAR was a rare instance where the name whispered the truth. It was the equipment used to navigate the AE territory. It was the hardware of the hedge, a designation for a specialized tools of border crossing. We are opening the garage doors on a fleet of technical marvels, detailing the verifiable record of a project that turned the highway into a hall of mirrors. AEGEAR was a CIA project focused on the, quote, technical modification of civilian vehicles for clandestine infiltration, end quote. The project utilized optical distortion techniques to make compartments look smaller from the outside than they were on the inside. Records show the use of lead-lined containers to hide electronic equipment from X-ray scanners at border crossings. The agency developed acoustic damping panels to prevent the sound of a hidden person's breathing from being heard by guards. AEGEAR modified the Opel Record as a primary workhorse for Eastern European operations. Documentation confirms the use of rapid plate changers that could swap license tags in under 3 seconds while the car was in motion. The project researched non-Newtonian fluids to create self-sealing fuel tanks for emissions into high-risk zones. Records show that the AEGEAR vehicles were equipped with engine kill switches to prevent accidental starts during inspections. The agency used scent-masking chemicals to prevent border dogs from detecting human cargo. AEGEAR pioneered the use of shadow line painting to make vehicle profiles look like different models from a distance. Documentation verifies the use of inertial navigation systems for drivers operating in GPS-denied or unmapped territories. The project developed pneumatic lifts to raise and lower the floor of a truck bed silently. Records confirm that AEGEAR modified a Volkswagen Type 2 bus for use in the Middle East. The agency used thermal bypasses to vent a hidden passenger's body's heat through the exhaust pipe. AEGEAR tested electromagnetic shielding to protect onboard radios from Soviet jamming. Documentation reveals the use of fake engine blocks that were actually storage units for sensitive documents. The project created collapsible seats that doubled as hiding bays for small stature agents. Records show that AEGEAR vehicles used high-torque electric motors for silent, low-speed maneuvering. The agency developed mirrored under-chassis panels to reflect the road and hide the depth of the floor. AEGEAR utilized nitrous oxide injection for short bursts of speed during hot exits. Documentation confirms that the project used run-flat tire technology decades before it was commercially available. The agency modified the fuel-to-air ratios to make vehicles produce natural-looking smoke to blend into local pollution. Records verify that AEGEAR vehicles were shipped in crated machinery to avoid customs suspicion. The project developed quick-release body panels to allow an agent to exit a moving car through the floor. AEGEAR used variable transmission systems to allow heavy trucks to accelerate like sports cars. The project developed multi-stage filtration for air intakes to operate in extreme desert environments. Documentation shows the use of bioluminescent markers that were only visible under specific UV frequencies for night convoys. AEGEAR used piezoelectric igniters, that might be Piezo, P-I-E-Z-O. I'm a mechanic, but I don't even know what that is, to ensure engines started in sub-zero Arctic conditions. Records verify that false gas tanks were used to store up to 50 pounds of dead drop material. The agency researched active suspension to keep vehicles level on cobblestone streets. AEGEAR utilized ceramic brake pads to reduce squeal during stealth operations. Documentation confirms the use of micro cameras hidden in the headlights for periscope driving. The project developed fire suppression mist for the engine bay that left no chemical residue. Records show that AEGEAR vehicles used dual battery systems with isolated silent power for surveillance gear. The agency used memory foam in hidden compartments to prevent cargo from shifting and making noise. AEGEAR technicians learned theatrical paint aging to make new modification panels look 20 years old overnight. The project developed carbon monoxide scrubbers for hidden compartments to ensure agents didn't suffocate during long border delays. Documentation confirms the use of inflatable seat bladders that could alter the perceived shape of a vehicle's occupants from a distance. AEGEAR used electrostatic dust attractors to ensure a car always looked uniformly dirty, avoiding clean spot suspicion. Records verify the installation of high-intensity rear flash bulbs to temporarily blind pursuing drivers during night escapes. The agency used vibration-resistant solder to ensure modified electronics didn't fail on unpaved rural roads. AEGEAR designed fake exhaust tips that actually served as ejection ports for spike strips or oil slicks. Documentation shows that the project modified Citroen DS models, it's a vehicle, spelled Citroen with an accent aigu on top of the E, for their superior self-leveling hydraulic suspension. The project utilized honeycomb composite flooring to provide high strength with almost zero thickness in hidden bays. Records confirm that AEGEAR engineers used surgical steel hinges that were completely silent even without lubrication. The agency developed quick dry body filler that could be sanded and painted in the field in under an hour. AEGEAR used polarized windshield coatings to prevent flashlights from illuminating the interior at night checkpoints. Technical files show that directional microphones were hidden in side mirrors to listen to guard conversations while the windows were up. The project developed magnetic signature dampers to avoid detection by massive industrial metal detectors. Records verify the use of detachable steering columns to allow agents to hide in the driver's side floorboard if necessary. Documentation confirms that the project used artificial rust wash to blend Western steel into Soviet scrapyard environments. AEGEAR experimented with liquid crystal windows that could turn from transparent to opaque with the flick of a switch. The project developed counterweighted chassis to mimic the handling of an empty car, even when fully loaded. Records show that AEGEAR modified heavy camouflage trucks for cross-border transport of large electronic surveillance arrays. The agency used self-heating food packs stored in the floorboards to keep hidden agents warm without using the car's heater. AEGEAR designed magnetic license plate backings for instant identity swaps in busy urban tunnels. Technical reports show the use of fiber optic light pipes to provide illumination to hidden passengers without a visible light source. The project used nitrogen-inflated tires to prevent pressure changes from being detected by high-precision border scales. Records verify that the agency built mobile workshops inside standard shipping containers to modify cars near target borders. Documentation shows that AEGEAR used specially grinded gears to eliminate the high-pitched transmission whine of modified engines. The project developed synthetic engine oil that could operate for 500 miles without a coolant system if the radiator was shot. Now let's get into some quotes. Here's one from Tony Mendez, CIA Technical Services Division. "The best way to hide a car is to make it look like every other piece of junk on the road." That's a good one. Declassified TSS training manual. "If the guard doesn't look twice, we've won. If he looks twice, the car has to lie to him." A quote that is from an AEGEAR engineer whose name is redacted. "We weren't building James Bond cars. We were building cars that looked like they belonged in a scrapyard but ran like a Swiss watch." Quote from a declassified CIA internal memo. "Technical development is the silent partner of every successful exfiltration." A quote that is attributed to Robert Wallace, former director of OTS. "Surprise is the only thing that keeps an agent alive when the technology fails." A quote from John Mulholland, a CIA consultant. "Magic is just a specialized form of engineering used to solve the impossible." And a quote from a declassified CIA briefing on urban camouflage. "In the field, the most sophisticated tool is the one that looks like it's already broken." End quote. If you look at the technical operational summary of AEGEAR, you will encounter the Red Zone Logistics chapter. It is a sea of black ink. Nearly 65 pages are redacted under Exemption B1 for national security and Exemption B7, which protects law enforcement and intelligence techniques. What are they hiding behind those black bars? I believe these redactions cover liaison vehicle theft, where the agency developed protocols for borrowing local vehicles and modifying them in field garages within 24 hours. I also believe the redactions hide chemical tagging of foreign fleets, methods to spray invisible markers on enemy vehicles to track their movements through city traffic. I think the blacked out pages contain the urban evasion algorithms, the mathematical models for a perfect flow through a city to avoid every traffic camera and police patrol. The redacted volumes suggest a level of infrastructure manipulation that turns an entire city into a controlled maze for the agency's drivers. When a car can vanish in plain sight, people start wondering what else is on the road. There's, for instance, the ghost fleet theory. Some theorists speculate that AEGEAR wasn't just for agents, but for a secret presidency transport, a fleet of ordinary-looking delivery trucks that are actually mobile command centers. These theorists suggest that at any given moment, a seemingly broken-down bread truck in D.C. could be the most powerful communications hub on the East Coast. Then there's the tachyon tires speculation. This is a radical theory that AEGEAR experimented with low-frequency vibration that could make a car phase out of the visual spectrum for fractions of a second at high speeds. Proponents argue that several UFO sightings on Midwestern highways were actually AEGEAR test vehicles gliding in and out of the light spectrum during high-velocity runs. Then there's the automated assassination theory. This posits that AEGEAR developed remote drive override technology, allowing the agency to take control of any car in a foreign city to use as a kinetic weapon or a distraction drone. This theory implies that mysterious sudden acceleration accidents in foreign capitals were actually AEGEAR tested remote incursions designed to eliminate targets without a human ever being present. And then there's the subterranean express theory. Radical theorists speculate that AEGEAR vehicles were designed to interface with secret underground tunnels that run beneath the major cities of Europe. They argue the modified suspension wasn't for rough roads, but for high-speed rail docking that allowed these cars to descend into hidden shafts and traverse an entire city in minutes, completely bypassing the surface world surveillance. Was AEGEAR a success? Tactically, it was a masterpiece. It allowed for the zero-loss exfiltration of high-value assets from Moscow and Tehran. The project proved that visual anonymity is a more effective shield than any heavy armor. It successfully moved hundreds of defectors and operatives through the most scrutinized borders on Earth without a single chassis failure. The tactical genius lay in the psychological manipulation of the border guards. By providing a vehicle that was exactly what the guards expected to see, a noisy, slightly unkept civilian car, the agency effectively eliminated the guards' desire to inspect the vehicle more closely. This inverse signaling meant that the more suspicious the cargo, the less suspicious the car appeared to be, creating a tactical paradox that saved countless lives. Strategically, it was the foundation of modern covert mobility. It shifted the agency's focus from high-tech gimmicks to low-profile reliability. It taught the intelligence community that the background is the best hiding place. It created a doctrine of tactical blending that is still the gold standard for urban operations today. AEGEAR proved that the technical services division was as vital to the mission as the agents in the field, cementing the role of operational support as a primary pillar of CIA doctrine. By establishing a library of camouflage blueprints for every major vehicle, make, and model on Earth, the agency ensured that they could up armor and modify for any environment at a moment's notice, transforming the world's civilian infrastructure into a clandestine logistics network that no adversary could fully map or monitor. As far as operational and technological breakthroughs go, of course, it led to more than a few, AEGEAR did, such as false perspective compartmentalization, the art of using mirrors and angles to hide volume. Today, this spatial deception is used in modern secure transport and anti-theft logistics to hide high-value goods in plain sight. The intelligence community utilizes these principles to construct mobile, sensitive, compartmented information facilities that appear to be standard shipping containers, but house top secret servers. The military applies this to visual signature management for forward operating bases using 3D printed textures and mirror arrays to make massive fuel depots appear to be smaller, inconsequential terrain features to overhead drones. Silent electric torque conversion, adapting electric motors for heavy vehicle use. This is the core technology behind modern electric vehicles, or EVs, specifically high-performance models that require massive torque at low speeds. Special operation forces use electric dirt bikes and silent utility vehicles for nighttime raids, allowing them to approach a target compound with zero acoustic warning. The intelligence community uses modified electric delivery scooters in urban surveillance to linger in neighborhoods without the telltale rumble of an idling engine, providing a silent vantage point that can be maintained for hours. Infrared heat suppression, managing the thermal signature of a vehicle. Essential for stealth aircraft and modern military ground vehicles that must operate at night. Modern main battle tanks like the M1 Abrams use active cooling panels derived from AEGEAR research to match their surface temperature to the surrounding air, making them invisible to thermal-seeking missiles. The intelligence community applies this to man-portable shields that allow agents to move through thermal camera-monitored alleys without appearing as a heat bloom. Signal masking glass, windows that block electronic signals from entering or leaving the car. Used in high security government vehicles and corporate executive transport to prevent digital eavesdropping. The Department of State uses this tech in every diplomatic limousine to ensure that private conversations cannot be intercepted by laser microphones or IMSI catchers. And the military signal-shielded command and control vehicles allow generals to coordinate electronic warfare strikes without their own broadcasts being triangulated by enemy signal intelligence. The legacy of AEGEAR is the car you passed on the way to work this morning. The one that was a little too clean or a little too dirty or sat a little too level for the weight it should be carrying. We have moved into a world where the vehicle is no longer just a mode of transport, but a digital and physical cloak. The lessons learned in the false floors of the Cold War are now written in the code of autonomous navigation and encrypted communications. In the past, the ghost transit was a desperate measure for a desperate time. Today, it is a sustained operational state. The ability to vanish into the background noise is no longer a secret of the CIA, but a requirement for anyone who wants to move off the grid. We have traded the high-speed chase for the high-precision disappearance, and the highway has become the new clandestine frontier. Today, we live in a world where the camouflage is no longer paint, but metadata. The modified sedans of the 1970s have evolved into the anonymized traffic of the internet, but the core principle remains the same. The best place to hide a secret is right in front of everyone's eyes. We are the inheritors of the chameleon fleet, navigating a reality where the background noise is curated and the open road is a carefully managed hallway of intelligence. Keep your eyes on the panel gaps. Keep your ears open for the electric whine in a combustion world, and keep your minds sharp for the car that isn't. Because in the world of AEGEAR, the most dangerous thing on the road is the one you don't even notice. And remember, the most effective disguise is not a mask, but the absolute commitment to being utterly unremarkable. Join us next time as we examine KU Swan, a project dedicated to maritime intelligence gathering in the Persian Gulf. Imagine a ghost fleet of trawlers that aren't fishing for food, but for electronic signals and submerged secrets. We'll look at the hydrophone arrays, the underwater drones, and the sailors of the shadows who turned the tides into a tape recorder. Join us next time for the silent current. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.